The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees says nearly 672,000 people are sheltering in their 149 installations across the Gaza Strip. These include schools and health centers, and they're facing increasingly desperate conditions. This was the scene on the weekend when Palestinians stormed the UN warehouse in Khan Yunis to take food supplies. The UN is calling it a worrying sign that civil order is starting to break down after 3 weeks of war and a tight siege on Gaza. And for more on what people are hearing coming out of the Gaza Strip, we're joined live now by Noura, whose mother-in-law, uncle, and other family members are stuck there. She's asked us not to use her last name out of fear it could jeopardize her family's safety in Gaza. Noura, thank you for joining us. Over the weekend, there was a 36-hour blackout in Gaza, a total telephone and internet blackout. Have you heard from your family?
So thankfully, we were able to hear from my family. It took it was literally 48 hours of terror. We had no idea what was happening. We didn't know if they were alive or dead. These are acts of, these are war crimes. The fact that, a government can turn off communication for 2.3 million people is just beyond me.
I want to get your response to what the UN is saying, issuing a warning over the weekend, calling it a worrying sign that civil order is beginning to break down after 3 weeks of war and a tight siege on Gaza, describing it as chaos, and also saying that a lot of people on the ground are beginning to grow even more desperate. How do you process that?
You know what? We have a lot of family there, and it's been an absolute terrifying time. A lot of us have not even been able to fathom, the world response. You have 2.3 million people, with 50% of them being children, that are being carpet bombed. I'm speaking to people that have 50 people in a household with one washroom. Lack of water. There is a rise of infectious diseases that are now a big concern with the people there. Lack of food, medical supplies. Doctors are performing surgeries without anesthesia, without even effective equipment. There is the lack of electricity is also causing lack of fuel, and these are things that are really, really alarming on a humanitarian level. And I think we as Canadians need to, if we stand for human rights and justice, this is something that we need to be really concerned about.
On Friday, Canada abstained from a vote calling for a ceasefire. Today, the UN Security Council is going to hold a vote on humanitarian pauses and a humanitarian corridor. Noura, tell me what you're hoping to come out of that.
I'm hoping that we can, number one, evacuate Canadians that are coming out, that are in Gaza. Right now, there are 430 Canadians that feel that the government is not doing enough to help bring them out. I have a lot of family members that are not Canadian, as well, that live in Gaza, that I feel their lives are at risk just for being there. We've been calling for and demanding for a ceasefire. We've seen over 3,000 children that have been killed and massacred as a result of this genocide. And the government continues to not just support Israel's right to defend itself, but also send Canadian military reserve to Israel to fight alongside the military to then kill our brothers and sisters in Gaza. And that is something that is extremely alarming as a Canadian that has family there. It also means tax dollars are going towards fighting innocent people that are in Palestine, that are in Gaza.
Can I ask you what your family at home on the ground in Gaza is telling you about the situation there?
They don't know if they will be the next target. We actually have no idea. Every time I'm on social media, I'm looking at the next attack that was, a building that is brought down. We're always concerned when we find out that there is bombings happening in the city where my family is. I have to text message them, terrified, not knowing if they're going to be the next target. No one is safe there. You have random locations, hospitals, churches, bakeries that are being bombed. There is no red line for Israel when it comes to bombing, the people indiscriminately. So we actually just have no idea. We can't even tell them take shelter at a school, because even schools are being bombed.
Okay, we will leave it there. Noura, thank you so much for your perspective. And of course, we continue to think of you and your family. Thank you for this.